Ever wish you could be someone else for a day? Well, thankfully, role-playing games can whisk us away from the banality of real life and let us pretend to be more heroic and handsome versions of ourselves. Or perhaps someone else entirely. And from forested fantasy worlds to the cold depths of space, RPGs also offer some of the best worlds in gaming to explore, where we can experience beautiful stories or create grand tales of our own. In this video, we'll round up the 10 best RPGs on PC. They're not set in order because, quite frankly, it's far too hard to pick a favourite. And we've also ruled out action RPGs and MMOs. Yes, they might be brilliant, but you won't find World of Warcraft or Dark Souls on this list. Please forgive us, Miyazaki-san. We're going to start this list off with a bang. Or should that be banging? Either way, when it comes to Geralt's adventures in The Witcher 3, you get plenty of both, as well as a rich world to frolic in and relatable people to save. It's a fantastic slice of fantasy with a gripping tale that sees you on the hunt for Ciri, your missing protege, slaying vicious beasts, romancing basically everyone, and performing heroic deeds for the right price. Or you could just spend your entire time finding frying pans for old ladies, posing for paintings, and talking to pigs.
1 oink for yes, 2 for no, got it?
Remember the good old days of RPGs, where you directed a ragtag of tiny figures around bare-bones worlds, set at a jaunty, isometric angle with reams of flavour text to study? Well, those days are back thanks to the excellent Pillars of Eternity, which revived the classic RPG genre and made slightly pixelated monsters hot again. The retro look is endlessly charming, and the world is packed with quests and tidbits of lore to tuck into. It's also great at encouraging you to think creatively. Your party doesn't get any stronger for killing people, so only completing quests will grant you XP. So if fighting isn't your thing, or if it isn't in keeping with your character, you'll still be rewarded for sneaking past things or talking your way out of trouble. Also, you can fight alongside bears, and if that's not top list worthy, I don't know what is. You can't have a top RPG list without at least one Final Fantasy game, and since 15 isn't out on PC yet, it's the remastered 10th entry that holds the epic Japanese fantasy torch for us here. With its chocobos, huge summonable creatures, and turn-based battling, this has all the classic bits that make Final Fantasy games so great, with the added benefit of more modern mechanics. While we've got many fond memories for earlier entries like Final Fantasy VII, but that might just be the nostalgia talking, the Final Fantasy X remaster evokes those same timeless feelings, but without the dated graphics and grind. On top of this, the dilapidated tropical world of Spira has an utterly magical sense of place. Though, let's pretend that laugh never happened for everyone's sake. Many of the best RPGs seem to be set in vast forests full of magic and elves, but the Mass Effect series proves that the cold vacuum of space is also a perfect setting for heroics and intimately getting to know your companions. While some have been critical of the latest entry Andromeda, the universe it inhabits is still excellent, with Mass Effect 2 being the standout entry of the lot. And not just because you can romance sexy space cat insect Garrus.
Your hair looks good, and your waist is very supportive.
Thanks, Bay. The companions in the second game are the most memorable of the series, and the fateful final mission gives a real feeling of consequence to your decisions. Yes, we chose poorly. Remember earlier in the list when we talked about the good old days? Well, here they are, the original ones and still as good as you remember them. Baldur's Gate 2 Enhanced Edition takes all the different parts of the original and pulls them together in a neat, prettier package full of wizards, rogues, and warriors to quest with. Following on from the first game, it expands upon the Forgotten Realms setting and is where BioWare's famous companion writing really starts to shine. It also contains one of our favourite characters in gaming history, an ex-barbarian called Minsk who charges into battle with his trusty, miniature giant space hamster, Boo.
Kill says Boo! Kill does Minsk!
Yes, Dragon Age is yet another BioWare game, but we can't help it. They're just so good at making RPGs with characters we want to snuggle up with next to the campfire. But when we're not laughing a little too hard at Alistair's jokes in an effort to impress him, we're busy being engrossed in the traditional fantasy kingdom of Ferelden and our duties as a Grey Warden tackling Darkspawn. This first game in the series does an impressive job of setting up a deep, fleshed out world that encourages you to dig deeper into its lore. While not quite as sophisticated as later entries in the series, we love the way you're given a different starting story depending on which race and class you choose, and how that affects how others respond to you. Sorry, elves, no one likes you. Next up we have Undertale, which has received widespread acclaim thanks to its heartfelt story, unconventional presentation, and lovable monsters. From comedic skeletons to motherly goats and narcissistic flowers, encountering new characters is a real treat. That unique perspective is also present in the mechanics and choices you make, as the outcome can change depending on how kind you're feeling. But what makes it most impressive is that the whole thing was made by just one person. It might look simplistic on the surface, but it's amazing how much depth there is to these sprites thanks to the great writing and personality-filled animations. If you're an RPG fan and haven't played this already, pause this video, start it installing and give it a go. You won't be disappointed. And here's another RPG classic that will help scratch your flaky nostalgia-riddled skin. Similar to Baldur's Gate with its isometric design and in-depth storytelling, Planscope Torment sets itself apart with its gloomier setting and well-established hero. You play as the Nameless One, a beastly-looking immortal who's lived countless lives already but can't remember any of them, as he tries to figure out just why he can't die and why some people remember him but he can't place them. It's a curious setup and one worth visiting if you want to go back and see just how far storytelling in RPGs has come over the last 17 years. While we've plenty of great stories on this list, there's been a serious lack of treasures to find. Thankfully, Diablo 3 pours loot on you with all the generosity of your grandmother offering you cups of tea, although the monsters of Sanctuary are more likely to deal out maces and polearms than slices of cake. You never know what you're going to get, be that a legendary spear or a pair of disappointingly weak gloves that can't even keep your fingers warm. There's just something about slicing through hordes of enemies only for them to pop like a golden loot-filled firework that makes you feel immensely powerful. No other games are quite so skilled at satisfying our greed for good old-fashioned fantasy swag. Finally, no best RPG list would be complete without the open-ended splendour of an Elderscrolls game. And while it's a tough choice to narrow it down to just one, it's Skyrim that makes this list. Yes, we know that Oblivion and Morrowind are also fantastic, but Skyrim provides the most effective modern take on Tamriel, and the modding scene keeps it very much alive. Heck, you can basically even play Morrowind in Skyrim. And speaking of mods, there are some that make the trees prettier, some that add new modes and areas, and some that add more bespoke additions. Dragons not menacing enough for you? Well, there's always Thomas. Toot toot indeed. So there you have it, 10 of the best RPGs on PC to help us live out our fantasy lives. Please like if any of your favourites made the list, and let us know in the comments below what games you think should have made the list. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.